It's been a little bit, and here we are today. My name is Trini C, and we are here on stage live. And I have amazing guests with me today, the one and only
Desdamona.
Desdamona. Thank you for coming in on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for rescheduling last month. I was major flare-up with my Eagle syndrome. Just not feeling good. So we're so happy to have you here.
I'm glad to be here.
So you need to tell the world. Who is Desdamona?
I'm Desdamona. I am an artist, and the art form that I work within is spoken word and hip hop. And I live in St. Paul, and I've lived in the Twin Cities since '95. Lived in some of the suburbs, and I've lived in Minneapolis, and I currently live in St. Paul. And with the art that I do, writing, performing. Sometimes by myself, sometimes with musicians, a DJ, and I also teach in schools as well.
I love when people come on the show and they're just like, so nonchalant, but the work you do and have been doing is so impactful. So you said artist,
Yep.
Poet,
Yes.
teacher,
Yes.
creator,
Yep.
innovator,
Yes. I'm trying.
Shiro, right? When did you start getting into the entertainment industry?
I mean, when I was very young, my mom put me in dance classes, and that was sort of my first exposure to performance, and that was something I was really into pretty much my entire childhood.
Shout out to
I
the moms.
also was just kind of a little ham. Like, I would stand on a stump in the backyard, and I'd be like making up songs and like
just in your own world.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
And my parents just encouraged it, and so did my grandparents, and I just was very supported in like creativity, because I also liked to draw and write, and my family is very creative and artistic, and so I was just kind of nurtured in that environment.
Right.
And then in high school, I was in a few sports, and I was a cheerleader, and the dance thing was still happening.
Nice.
And then when I went to college, I was going to college actually for commercial design, but I ended up changing my mind, and that's when I actually started to write seriously and create, and was in a group kind of, this would have been like the early 90s, so around the time when like TLC and SWV were like hitting. And we had a 4-girl group. Yes, exactly. We had a 4-girl group that was sort of R&B and hip hop, and I wrote a lot of the lyrics, and that's when it all started. So probably I want to say like seriously in like 93.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you said your mom was encouraging to be like, I see this shining light. Let me make sure she gets on stage and stays on stage.
Yeah.
And did you start here in Minnesota with that, or?
So I grew up in a small town in southeast Iowa, Mount Pleasant, Iowa, way down in the corner, about 30 minutes from Missouri and about 30 minutes from Illinois. So way down in that southeast corner of a town of like 8,000 people. So yeah, and then I moved further north to northern Iowa, and then my best friend was like, hey, we should move to Minneapolis, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Literally, I was
just
like, sure, let's do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so here you are.
Here I am.
And so I remember back in the day seeing you at Blue Nile, and I was just like, you know, coming from the Caribbean, poetry was done in a different way. It was done in calypso, if anything, right? It wasn't done in spoken word and poetry and slams and all that good stuff. But to me, what was amazing is you were a woman on stage, rocking on stage, which there wasn't very many of us back then, right? And so tell us a little bit about how you've navigated as being a shiro, as a female, in what you do.
I think I realized really early on when I got here that it was going to be difficult.
Right.
It was going to be hard for me to find people to just take me seriously enough to give me a chance. It was going to be hard to find shows. It was very male dominated. The women who were at shows, who to me, many were performers, but were not viewed that way, right? Like they were just viewed, honestly,
as
sometimes,
an accessory
yes, as groupies. And I remember being in circles when we would be kind of talking, and it would be sort of the artists talking. And I remember there'd be women, and I'm like, why aren't people getting introduced? Like, why aren't women getting introduced? And so it took me a couple years to realize what was happening. And then when I noticed it, I would always introduce myself. What's your name? You know, you have a voice too. Regardless of whether you're an artist in this situation, you have a voice, and I want to recognize that I see you.
Right.
And so trying to make that, you know, and I think like that alone made me want to create spaces for people to be heard. And yeah, I definitely had a focus on women, but it wasn't solely women. It was young people. It was anybody who wasn't who wasn't getting that opportunity, and I wanted to create space, like right, and that like you don't have to be known to be heard, and you don't have to be known to get a show. You can come to this open mic, you can get experience and like learn from watching other people and learn from just being on stage, and like that became kind of like a mission for me over the years, for sure. I
see that. I know you eat, breathe, sleep that, because I you don't just talk it. I see it in the work that you do all day long. I noticed that as well. I was like, where are we? It was like we're little dots in the background, you know? Or I was looking at some pictures the other day that were posted about hip hop in the Twin Cities, and it was all guys. It was all men. And I was just like, interesting. You know, and I'm waiting for the pictures of the women to come out, right? And I've been part of a couple of those situations where it is highlights women, and there's a lot of us powerful women. Real quickly, before we go to break, what has been one of your biggest accomplishments that you've overcome in the last year doing what you do?
I think in the last year, it's been a while, because I've been just kind of in the process, I feel like in some ways, of survival. Right. And I think like within the last year, I submitted to be in this competition that was going to get a scholarship for a lyricism course. Right. And I submitted at the last minute. I didn't think anything of it, and I actually got the scholarship, and it's a lyricism school based out of New York and Boston.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and that has been huge for me, because I actually have started to write again, which I had a couple years just because of pandemic and other things that have been happening.
Life, yes, life is lifing.
And it has just sparked me like so much. Like I could talk on and on and on about it.
And talking about recreating the wheel, right? Yes. Recreating the wheel and what we do as humans and as women in this industry in the Twin Cities. So real quickly, if somebody wanted to find you on social media, how would they?
Yeah, so on Facebook, I'm pretty active on Facebook, and it's Desdamona Ross, DesdamonaRox. And then I'm on Instagram, Desdamona Ross as well, and I'm on TikTok as well, but on TikTok, it's Desdamona Ross, which is my last name, Ross. So
we'll be right back after these moments.
What's happening, y'all? My name is Frank Centuali, and when I'm home in the Twin Cities, I watch On Stage Live, brought to you by First World TV.
Welcome back. My name is Trini C, and we're here on stage live. I'm rocking out with the one and only, literally rocking out with the one and only Desdamona. I've had an honor of being around her and her presence and her energy and vibe for years. As a spectator, also just, knocking shoulders at concerts and stuff. So I always admire everything that you do. Shout out to you. Shout out to all the hard work you're putting in, not only in our community, but especially with young people. Can we talk a little bit about your passion in your work with young people? Because I see often that you are in schools and you're writing curriculum, and I'm just like, I wish my kids would have been in a classroom with you.
Yeah, I work with a couple of different organizations. I work with COMPAS, who sends artists into schools all across Minnesota, and I'm currently doing a residency at Armstrong High School. And we're doing spoken word and maybe going to do a slam, so a competitive thing. Right. And then I am the poetry ambassador for TruArtSpeaks, which is an org that's based in St. Paul, and we focus around leadership, literacy, and social justice, and through the lens of hip hop and spoken word culture. And so we have a lot of programs. I host an open mic called the Reverb Open Mic.
On Thursdays?
On Thursdays.
6 to 8?
That's right, 6 to 8 at Flava Cafe. The address is 623 University Avenue West, and it is open all ages, many different styles. There's spoken word, storytelling, hip hop. Sometimes we have a dancer or a comedian come in, and you can just sign up and get on the mic and do your thing. And we also have weekly features,
Nice.
and once a month we have a DJ. And that's a space, that's one of those spaces,
Right.
like I was talking about before,
Right.
where it's like, I want to create space for people to just explore, right?
Right.
And there's not a lot of pressure because you get like 6 minutes, so you don't have to do a whole set
Right.
or anything. You can just do one thing,
And
try
get
it
the
out.
experience and yeah.
Yep, and get feedback. And I just love trying to create the space for people to try something,
Right.
to express themselves, to, do something new,
Right.
and get out of their, get out of their shell a little bit, or their comfort zone.
And that's a
see what happens.
woman-owned establishment.
Yes, Flavor Cafe
minority-owned
is, yep,
establishment. Amazing smoothies.
yes.
Since we've lost Golden Time, the lady actually learned how to
Yes,
do her coffee shop
that's
from
right.
Michael and Stephanie, right? So
Yep.
that's our other place to be and spend time, and
Yep.
it's amazing. It's just an amazing
It
space.
is an amazing
and really
space.
nice and flowy and
Yeah, because there's some there's a couch and some
Yep.
cushy chairs, and then there's regular tables and chairs, so whatever you feel comfortable in. The open mic is super just welcoming too.
Right.
I'm there. I'm at the welcome table every Thursday night, so you can always reach out, and you can go to the TruArtSpeaks website, TruArtSpeaks.org,
Right.
and there's just no E in the word true. And you can look up the programming and you'll find the open mic, and you can
Nice.
get the details. And you can also find me on social media and just ask me questions. I have people email me all the time. Hey, can I just come and show up and
Yes,
like do this
right.
thing? I'm like, yes,
Yes.
here's the details. Show up.
show up and show
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
And before we started the show today, we were talking about people just reaching out and telling us thank you, and the impact we've had on their lives, and a couple of conversations. Do you feel that, and until we have these little conversations, that you make an impact, or are you just like on this mission and you're like, this is what I want to do, this is my passion, and you're just like, you just keep on going? Because I just know, like, I love doing what I do. It's never been about profit, because throwing dancehall reggae Caribbean parties is not that feasible, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
really about the culture and everything. But recently, I've just had that wonderful gift of hearing what I've
Yeah.
done as a powerhouse and
Yeah.
in the Caribbean scene, and I am the so-called Caribbean ambassador. They're giving me this label.
Yes.
How do you handle that?
I think sometimes I am just like, I'm just doing the thing, right? I'm just
Right.
trying. First of all, it's a passion, and it's like, I feel like it's innately a part of me. And so I just try to hold that. And when people do say things, it's such a gift,
Right.
because it reminds me,
It
oh yeah,
is.
it does mean something. And it's the smallest things. It's
Right.
not huge things all
Right.
the time,
It's not like you're bowing down.
Right.
Right.
It's an
Right.
email. It's
Yeah.
someone coming up to me.
In passing.
Yeah, you came into my middle school, and now I'm a full-grown adult. I'm like, oh my God, what?
Right.
Like,
Right.
So I think like I think it's really nice, and it reminds me to kind of, as they say, give people their flowers
Right.
while they're here, instead
Definitely.
of waiting until they're gone.
Yes.
Because I do think that helps. That does help.
Right.
It pushes you, it keeps you, even if you're already self-motivated and like want to do the thing, it really does help when
Right.
someone just says one little thing. I remember those things, and I
Right.
keep those emails and
Yes.
and those things,
Those
because
it's like little mini tributes
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
But it's also like when you least expect it, because I got a call this week and I was like, oh, I needed this.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
just came back from visiting back home, and I was like, I needed this to seal up my week,
Yes.
because you don't hear it from the employer and stuff all the time,
Right,
or,
right.
or from your kids, or the dog, of course,
Right.
doesn't talk, right? But so, all right, here's a really good question for you. Your favorite female hip hop artist?
ooh, man, okay, it's kind of hard. Okay, it's okay.
And you could say yourself if you wanted.
No,
but-
it is not me. It's not me. I'm gonna say Lauryn Hill, and then I'm gonna say an MC from California named Medusa, who's been around for decades and is amazing, like an amazing
Didn't
performer.
they do a couple shows with Rhyme Series? Were they here with Rhymesters a couple times? Not on their label, but.
Well, we had her here for B Girl B once.
Okay.
Yep.
That's how I've seen the same. Yep.
She's just an incredible
Medusa.
performer,
Right.
and an MC,
Right.
and she just embodies like everything about like a dope MC
Nice.
to
I'm gonna
me.
have to I'm gonna have to check it out. Right.
And she's still doing things, and Medusa, and she's just got this voice about her, and just a little lesser known,
Right.
but really should be known.
Right.
It's we could get into that about
Right.
just like the women's voices in hip hop and what
How
is sort
sometimes
of
they're stifled.
and what's
Not
promoted.
sometimes they are.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Right.
There's only room for a few, and then it's also like everybody's kind of pushed into this same sort of subject matters. We could talk
We
forever.
could go on and on and on and on. Medusa. Medusa.
Medusa.
Med.
Yeah.
Oh, Medusa. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to take a quick little break, but tell us what's coming up this week for you.
This week I have a radio show on Friday nights from 7 to 8 on WFNU.org. You can also find the app for Frogtown Community Radio, and you can listen there. It's called Reverb Radio, and it's every Friday. We feature spoken word, hip hop, and some R&B, and we really try to focus on local voices.
Nice.
We do have national and international, but it's really supposed to be about the local voices. So.
We'll be right back after this moment.
My name is April Graves, and when I'm in the Twin Cities, I watch Onstage Live on Hip Hop Nation, brought to you by First World TV.
Welcome back. My name is Trini C, and I have the honor. This is year 2 or 3. I think we celebrated 3 years, actually, where I have been the host of Onstage Live here on Hip Hop Nation Twin Cities. Part of my focus since I've taken over the show is to definitely make sure that women are highlighted on every show, women on this beautiful community that are connected to hip hop, and women of color. And so I just find that there are not enough spaces for us to be seen and heard, and thus I make sure every single show we have people amazing like you here. So you are in the hip hop community. You are been making spaces for yourself and others that look like you for decades, right? Tell us, have you ever, now as a Trini, I've experienced some interracial racism, and I could go on and on about that. Have you ever had situations where people are, you're not welcome, you're not one of us, they almost come off insecure, so they find a way to pick on you because you're so powerful?
You know, in the beginning, I think I was experiencing some kind of like shutout, but I couldn't figure out what exactly it was about, and I always thought it was because I'm a woman.
Right.
I wasn't
a beautiful woman.
like making those connections and
Right.
stuff, and it was so male dominated that I kind of thought, oh, it's just because I'm a woman,
Right.
and I was maybe a little naive and stuff. But then I think like I remember early on in my career, there was another young woman on the scene, and she was quite a bit younger than me, which I didn't know at the
Right.
time. But she definitely kind of had like issues with me and never would really address anything, but would kind of treat me a certain way. But it taught me really quickly that I just have to be myself.
And be resilient.
And I just have to, like, I don't.
Authentic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, if I'm just me, you know, it's not everybody's gonna love you.
Right.
It's just, they're just not. And so it taught me really quickly that I was like, I just have to be
Say that
me.
again. Not everybody's going to love you.
Yes, not
And
everybody's gonna
all
love
that
you.
matters is that you love yourself.
Exactly. And the
Right.
thing is, if you're consistent, people can't deny you.
Period.
So you keep doing the thing, and it's hard.
It's real hard.
It's hard.
Right.
But it is. I feel like you will reap the rewards, and I
Right.
feel like you have, and I have, and it's also made me more focused on, like, I want to share the light. I
Yeah.
want to share the space, and I want people to know that they have space.
Right.
And I
Definitely.
am never gonna be the one that says you can't come in here.
Period. Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
Like, and I think it taught me that. Like, maybe I knew that, but it really solidified
Yes.
that, like, oh no, I'm not shutting people out. You know what I
And
mean?
you're not going to shut me down either.
Right. I'm
Yeah.
going to keep doing this.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this thing.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of people too that were so supportive.
That part.
When they didn't have to be.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I think like
and stay focused on that too, right?
exactly.
Right.
I think like, yeah, there was a time when there was some conflict because I was present and this one person literally went to bat for me and they didn't have to.
Right.
And so I really, to this day, I'm really grateful to
Right.
that person.
Yeah.
And like, wow, you didn't have to do that. And,
Right.
and that kind of could have harmed your relationship with somebody because you went to bat for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I, again, try to like embody that. I'm like, do I need to go to bat for somebody because they're being treated away or whatever the thing is, like whatever it is.
Right.
And I think like that has definitely formed me in many ways, not just as a person, but also as an artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always say this, I'm not in competition with you, especially to the men,
Yeah.
because we're two different, we're made differently.
Yeah.
It takes two of us to create if we
Yeah.
were going to create. Let's keep on creating. If we were going to create a human, a
Right.
child, it takes two of us. We don't have the same DNA. It's impossible for me to try and replicate you or imitate you. But the reason I ask these questions is because I know there might be a grandmother, an auntie, a sister, a cousin out there, and there is a young person in the room, you know, chilling out, watching the program, and they are the one that maybe they're saying, go out on the post in the backyard,
Yeah.
and the stage is yours, you
Yes.
know? And women need to continue to empower women. We all need to empower each other. We need to, one of the scriptures I read this morning is show love and give love, right? And so again, another focus of having women on the show is so that we can share our journeys here in this thing we call life and hopefully make an impact on those who are watching or when we share the videos. We have about 3 minutes left. What is going to be some of your focuses within the rest of the year that we can look out for?
I'm starting to work on a new project, a new recording project. So that's one thing. I don't have deadlines or anything like that set, but I plan on putting out some material like
Nice.
before it drops and stuff. And I have one song that I did as a collaboration.
Just one.
Yeah, right now.
Just
Just one.
one.
Just one
Right.
right now. You know, baby
Because how many
steps.
songs have you put out?
I don't even know. I don't even know.
And we
Like,
can find you. Do you have a website as well, or it's
so
all social media?
most of my music is on Bandcamp.
Yeah.
So if you look up Bandcamp and you put in my name, you should be able to find me. And that has all of my solo projects. I do have other projects that I'm a part of, but you can do a search. And I'm in a lot of the streaming services and all of the sort of main spaces.
Nice.
But yeah.
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 Favorite male hip hop artist of all time?
Black Thought from The Roots.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Rakim.
Rakim, who was just here at Rondo Days. I know, because I was part of that. It was outstanding.
Yes.
It was like, I really am in the room with the God.
Yep.
Local artist, up and coming.
Ooh, this is hard. You know, there's a few young people that come to the open mic. Oh gosh, see, now you've challenged me because I can't remember anybody's name. There are some new young singers that,
Let me know so
They-
I can bring him on the show.
man,
I would love to have them. I'm always looking for people to highlight.
yes, okay. I will
Yes.
take some notes next week and make sure that I have everybody's name right. But locally, there are so many talented young people.
Yes. Shout out to my talented young person, Cyborg,
Yes.
aka Virgo, aka
Yes.
Cecil Neal.
Yes, Cecil
Yes.
is amazing.
Yeah.
So many people.
It's just a joy to watch the young people do this.
Yeah.
It really is.
It is.
Right.
It is. It's inspiring to me.
Anybody, any big ups you want to give before we close out the show? Any shout outs?
I mean, I guess I'm going to give a shout out to Shawnee, who is the owner of Flava Cafe.
Big up Flavor Cafe.
And then my friend Mally, who's a hip hop artist. He has an album dropping, and you can go to MallyMPLS.com and find out about that. And again, just all my TruArtSpeaks people. We work with a lot of youth, and we work also with a lot of artists in the community. And just want to give all of our family some love.
Yes. My name is Trini C. It's been an honor to be here with the one and only Desdamona. Big up the crew behind the scenes. Big up CCX Media for having us. And big up you, the fans, for watching us. And the taxpayers that allow us to be here. Thank you and have a wonderful day.